And welcome to the In-Game Boss podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your retro activist, a.k.a. your in-game boss, a.k.a. too cold to leave the house because in Oklahoma, we just hit a bad... I want to say it felt like hell first and then it became snow because it was just dropping like little stones and stuff like that. And now the roads are very sleet. It's been quite a week and for whatnot, but I'm not alone because who also lives in Oklahoma with me is Mr. Jaron.
That's a long ass AKA.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, AKA Evil of Aku, AKA the grumpiest of bears, AKA not liking seeing my dog slip and slide on the ice in the backyard. They're getting old, those hips. But yeah, and AKA beat Sifu like it owed me money.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Is it a must play?
It is a must play. It is something you are going to get the crap kicked out of you a lot. You're going to consider it a minor miracle if you make it out of the first level in your 20s. And you're going to consider it a miracle if you make it to the end of the second level before aging out, game over. But it's one of those you just got to keep at it, and every little bit is perfect a little bit every time. So
okay,
must play, good price, $40. No reason to not play it. PS4, PS5, and on the Epic Game Store.
Right on. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get into a new segment. So as of late 2021 to now, acquisition is a big word in the gaming industry. People are just selling and buying each other, with Microsoft, hitting with the Bethesda and the Activision Blizzard, to Sony buying Bungie and Blue Point, and I forgot the studio that did what was the name of that game that went under, that now went under the radar now. The one, it starts with an R, I believe. Anyways, it was kind of a shooter, but it's like a third person shooter with a woman. Oh gosh,
I don't even know. Yeah, that was going to bother me. Thanks.
Yeah. But they bought two other studios before that year on top of Bungie. But with that being said, there are some other studios that kind of spoke out. A lot of studios have spoken out now because they're like they make it sound like that, like they have no choice but to be bought. The way they said that, like, well, if we were bought, yada yada, and it's like, you could say no, right?
I mean, are you going to say no to $60 billion?
Exactly. If they're worth it. If you're worth it, right? If you're worth that much.
I mean, I don't care if I'm worth it or not. It's like, $60 billion and I get my parachute. I can retire. Sold.
Right. So with this, we are going to call this segment, What Are You Selling? What Are You Buying? And so in this segment, we are going to talk about a couple of publishers, developers that kind of been speaking up lately in the media. And we are going to talk about, where would they fit if they got bought up? So let's talk about the big one of the big third parties, the one that always get invited at every party. And they're like, they're the cool guys. They're always around. They're pretty cool. They're very supportive. They love everybody. You never see them on stuff. I mean, they even hang out with Stadia over there. And Stadia, he never gets invited to the party. I don't even know why he's here. Like, who invited Stadia? And the studio we're going to be talking about, the publisher we're going to talk about, is the one like, hey man, he's cool. Let him hang out with us. And that's Ubisoft. So Ubisoft is the company that brought you, the Far Cry series, the Assassin's Creed, the Prince of Persia that is not out yet, and Beyond Good and Evil 2 that's not out yet. We say what?
Got your Rayman and your Raving Rabbits.
Yep, that they're in the Mario realm right now, and whatnot. Your Rainbow Six, your Tom Clancy series, and
Watch Dogs.
Yeah. So with that being said, the head person, Guillermo, I believe that's how you say his name. I'm not really good at speaking. It's probably saying his name right, but he mentioned that basically, just to kind of paraphrase it, he said that we like to stay independent, but if the price comes around around our way, we wouldn't mind saying yes to that. So,
Oh.
so actually, I want to throw a little bit of a curveball to you. Now, we know that a lot of these studios, there's two different views that people are looking at it. People are looking at what is the studio's worth based on their charts. But there's another look of how much. That's fine if you think they're worth that much. But do you think they're going to sell themselves that much to you? I don't think so. I think they're going to sell themselves higher than that. Let's take, for example, Nintendo. Nintendo, I believe they said they're worth like $60 billion. Do you honestly think they're going to sell themselves at $60 billion? Probably not, because they know that they might be worth it, but they know that they can definitely generate more. I'm pretty sure they would probably say, "Nah, we want 100." You know,
Yeah.
we bring the money. We have the biggest mascots. You think we're going to be 60 billion to you? No, we're not.
They're so flush with cash, they don't have to do anything, and they'll be fine for several years.
Yeah, so 60 billion is not enough for them. So my question for you, the highest we have seen is Activision Blizzard hitting us with 68. You can round it off to 70 if you want to. I don't care. Billion. They are the highest purchase that we know so far being acquired. My question for you is, how much do you think Ubisoft would sell themselves for? What price would they say yes to?
They would say yes to?
Yeah, do you think so? Before you give me the price, tell me, would they be below Activision to you or higher than Activision? And whatever you pick, then tell me the price.
Oh shit. Okay. Taking into account all of the IPs Ubisoft has, but also taking into account the bad press that they've been getting over the last few years, I would say they would consider themselves lucky to sell themselves for about between 45 and 55 billion.
So you're saying they're below Blizzard?
Oh yes,
even Blizzard had their issue too, right? And you're saying
yes,
okay,
Blizzard was part of Activision, and Blizzard by themselves, you're getting, a popular MMO, not as popular as FF14 now, but a popular MMO, and multiple franchises that are making their own money. Ubisoft has plenty of franchises that make money, but the only ones that are making, like, For Honor was fun, but For Honor went free to play real fast. The franchise they're making money on is going to be Assassin's Creed. It's going to be, to a lesser extent, Watch Dogs. It's going to be, their Tom Clancy licenses. That's what they're going to be making money on. But they're also not as big. They don't make the money. They don't sell like Call of Duties. It's just a fact. And honestly,
sorry to interrupt, just real quick. I don't think anybody can touch Call of Duty. So I think that's kind of unfair, because any studio we mention will never be up that high. I think that's already kind of consideration.
Well, yes, that's true. But you're also saying, you asked me, what do you think they would sell themselves for? Now, what do I think they're worth? Half that. I'm talking 25 to 30 billion.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I understand. I'm just talking about if you were the head of Ubisoft, if you were that person,
the head of
how
Ubisoft,
much would you honestly charge them
45,
for? Like
45 to 50 billion dollars. Billion with a B, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. All right.
And that's because I want that golden parachute.
Okay. Okay. You said okay, just the exact number. You're saying 40 or 50?
If I were to give you an exact number, I would say $50 billion.
50.
I could be talked down to 45.
Okay.
Yes. 50.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go 60.
Really? Ambitious.
Yeah.
Or greedy, depending on who you are.
Yeah, I am greedy.
Why 60?
So, you're right. You're 100% right that Activision Blizzard is definitely higher because they have Call of Duty and they have the Diablo. Basically, when it comes to the United States, basically Blizzard runs it. Ubisoft is nothing. The reason I put them up there is because, one, they have the history, just like Activision. But here's the thing, though. Call of Duty to me is the only thing that I can think of that kept Activision going. Let's say even before that. Let's take Blizzard out before the merge. Activision was just the Call of Duty. Ubisoft to me was still more popular than Activision as a studio. Yes, you had Call of Duty, the highest grossing game, but you didn't have variety. Okay?
No.
What about the people that don't like Call of Duty? What about that? Right? So
go play Tony Hawk.
Yeah, give or take, right? So, and I think they did that Western game Gun. They had a hole in the wall ideas throughout the wall, but Ubisoft always had the franchises. They always had the franchise. Your Prince of Persia's. They know how to make franchises. Too.
Yeah. I mean,
so I guess where I'm getting at is with the Tom Clancy, and no one else can touch Tom Clancy. No one. They have that. That's a big deal because they can do a lot with that. And then on top of that, I also believe that they have a lot of creativity that they can do with, I think will come in the long run. So I think that 60 would work out very well for them. Yes, they had some bad hits like Hyperspace. Hyperspace was terrible. It flopped. The Ghost Recon has been not well since the last one. People, you can argue and whatnot, but I mean, no other here. And here's another thing too. Besides Ubisoft, who would be the closest runner-up to Activision Blizzard? Who else would in the Western audience, in the Western realm developers?
The Western audience?
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's any notable
exactly
left.
Exactly. Ubisoft has been what? EA? Sure. If you want to argue EA over Ubisoft, I think Ubisoft is worth it more than EA. But EA has they have the more revenue when it comes to multiplayer. I will give them that. And they have the sports. And sports is definitely higher than the Tom Clancy.
Okay, so per additional information, I will revise my sellout offer to about 55 million tops.
Oh, so you're going a little higher now. Okay.
Well, that's because of some additional IPs.
Okay.
So, you remember the King's Quest series?
Yes.
Okay, they own that. They own the Lost Vikings, because that's Blizzard. The Guitar Hero games.
Mm-hmm. Wait, no. Not Guitar Hero, Rocksmith.
No, they got Guitar Hero as well.
Which one?
The Hero franchise. DJ Hero, Guitar Hero, Band Hero. They have the franchise.
I thought Guitar Hero was owned by a different studio. Okay, never mind. Go on.
Tenchu.
Okay.
I imagine they bring Tenchu back. They got the Skylanders. About 10, 15 years ago or whatever, Skylanders was the thing. That was like right up there with Amiibos. So, so they've got some. I mean, obviously, I'm not throwing out banger like games that put out banger games out there, but they got a lot of little cool, little kitschy franchises here and there. That
and they have a lot of and they have a lot of They have a lot of classic games in the behind those doors, right? Rayman is still going. There's still a lot of the old classic ones we haven't popped open. I think that's why their history to me of characters and other properties could come back in a better light, and that's why I would put them up to 60 billion instead of. But I convinced you to move it up to 55.
Well, that was mitigating circumstances.
Yeah.
IPs that you could at least say. Now, I will say one of our viewers in the chat brought up a good point. Activision and Ubisoft don't really have sports. EA's got the outside of racing games, arcadish racing games. Mm-hmm. EA's got the lock on sports.
Yes.
Shout out to Taylor Sage. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So do you think if you were a studio that had, let's say, the NFL or an NBA license, do you think that alone would spike your value?
Yes. Because
above Activision's.
Yes, I think also the issue too is just the fact that like Microsoft, for instance, I think they have more money than EA. I think they could talk to them about like, can we buy the NFL license? You know, like I think that's kind of interesting in that way. That's
2K games.
2K
is another Western.
That's true. Oh, yeah, that is true. So maybe
we're talking Grand Theft Auto.
No, you're right. I would say 2K is higher than Ubisoft. I will agree with that definitely. I forgot about 2K. But I want to say if it came to history of gaming down the road, I think Ubisoft still had a longer history than 2K. I think 2K just bought a bunch of studios. I don't know how many games 2K actually like made themselves.
Sure,
you know what I
2K
mean?
Doesn't have a pedigree, but when you think 2K, you think Rockstar, you think NBA 2K, you think the wrestling games, you think Red Dead.
Yes.
Yes. So they don't have the pedigree, but they still say, "Hey,
Borderlands."
We got all this stuff on
they have the Borderlands. Yes. 100%. Because the difference between with EA and 2K and Ubisoft is that they have more catered to the multiplayer realm in their own way, in the sports. Ubisoft doesn't have the sports. That's why they try to make up their own sports games in their own way. Remember that rollerballer game that like no one knows what happened to? It got shown a couple of times, but no one knows what happened to that game.
Rollerball.
They tried to make up their own sports stuff.
Rollerball actually could have been pretty cool if they actually tried, if they actually did it. A rollerball kind of like a roller derby mixed with like the actual movie Rollerball or the movie's Rollerball. Imagine if they went full in violent with that. Blood and all that other stuff. That could actually be a pretty fun game. I'd pay $40 for it.
Yeah, but we just haven't seen anything like that. Plus,
nope.
Ubisoft is a studio that they really like to take some of their games. They like to take their time doing because there's a lot of money in it, and sometimes they take a big loss too. On top of that, so
good choice of words. Some.
Yeah. So my official answer still is $60 billion. I think they're worth a lot more than what the market is putting them for. I think they would sell themselves 60 because I think that their catalog of games could really help. Plus, they have a license that no one else can touch. That's a big important thing when you have something like that. Like Activision and Blizzard don't have a property that they own like outside of video games. You know what I mean? They don't have a certain property they own and no one else can touch. Like EA got the license for sports, but Ubisoft got, the Tom Clancy's series, and they can do whatever they want. Now, so I'm 60 billion, you're 55. Now, the real question is, out of the three mamma jammas, that is Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, or if anybody else that are listening to the show or watching us or whatever, you can throw out a third party. If you think another third party would buy the studio, who do you think? Well, here a two-part question: who do you think would fit best with them, and then who do you think would go for them?
Who do you think would fit best with Ubisoft, and who would go for them?
Yes.
Okay, if not Microsoft, if not Sony, which, Sony's doing some other things, which, if time permitting, I'll bring up. But honestly, I can't think of any other any other studio that has enough money. Like THQ Nordic might try and buy some individual IPs, but they don't have the money. They don't.
Not
have
after the bankruptcy. I don't think they can. They couldn't. They don't want to make any more choices like that. They want to.
Well, yeah. I mean, they started plucking up like orphaned IPs, and they haven't done anything with them yet.
Okay.
But I can't think of any other Western publishers. Unless we see some weird dark horse shit and Sega's like, guess what? We're back in the console game, bitches.
Not a lot of Japanese that I know of by a lot of American developers, except now like Square Enix and Namco.
Yeah, and that's because
they're the biggest.
Well, well, Namco and Square Enix also realized the benefit of injecting a Western flair into their games. I mean, how else do you have something like near Automata?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, because also too, one thing that we have to be aware of is people like Ubisoft to be independent because since they work with so many different, they're so friendly with other people, they can get a little more creative. Remember, whoever they go with, Mario plus Rabbids is gone unless they go with Nintendo.
Yeah,
that
like
kind of.
Microsoft might say, okay, yeah, we'll still loan out the Rabbids to Nintendo.
It will be Rabbid and Crash now.
Yeah.
So, or whatever mascot, Rabbid and Conquer.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I mean, and that you actually bring up a point that I want to emphasize to viewers and listeners. I am not for the additional acquisition. Like personally, I'm not for the additional acquisition of all these studios because, unfortunately, that does lead to the stifling of certain creativity, certain availability. If one particular console or publisher or anything like that owns it, goodbye to seeing that on other systems unless they lease it out. So the excitement of Activision Blizzard getting out of Bobby Kotick's hands and Bethesda and Arcane and all that aside, I'm cool. I'm up to here with acquisitions.
So you don't have an answer. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't have a good answer.
Okay.
I don't have a good one.
I'm going to just take a shot in the dark because I like taking a shot in the dark, and I like to be wrong in these kind of situations. But if it happens, then I say, hey, some prediction happened. So I think Sony would. It'd be good for Sony, and I think Sony would buy them if the money was worth it to them. So, and the reason why is because I think Ubisoft can fill in a lot of holes Sony doesn't want to deal with, because they want to go for this big blockbuster thing. And Ubisoft is down for these big blockbuster hits. Like all their games the last couple of years has been just trying to make these big bangers. With Watch Dogs Legion, the Rainbow Six, the Ghost Recon, they're really trying to go with these big hits of the blockbuster theme. Even spinning, even what?
The Division.
The Division. Yeah. Yep. Forgot about Division. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. That's why it goes even higher up. So 60 billion. Because that's actually a pretty decent series. But also on top of that, we have a 12-year game in development that is beyond good and evil. If that's not going big, I don't know what is.
Oh God, that's not coming out until after I turn 40.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, my theory a long time ago was they're rebuilding it for the next gen because they took too long. So that's what it is. And same thing with Prince of Persia. I think Prince of Persia, they're trying to work with the next gen. That's why it's being held up. It took too long and they have to change stuff up, for the better.
Smart move.
Yeah. So I can see Sony purchasing them, but the problem is I don't think they would convince them to do for 60 billion. I think they would try to bring it down to 4 billion like you were trying to aim for before. But I don't think Ubisoft would sell themselves that low because I think they're still doing fine without Sony. But I could see Sony going for that because they could fill in the holes of their stealth Assassin's Creed, because they're trying to do this game of service thing with Bungie. So you can do that for Division. You can do that for if they want to later on do a Ghost Recon edition of it. Rainbow Six is kind of going that direction. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, Siege and Quarantine.
Yeah, and remember, Sony mentioned a while back, like they're trying before. I think by 2025 or 26, they're trying to have at least 6 game of service games. So give or take, I could be 100% wrong on that quote.
No, it's not that. It's just games as a service is so hit and miss. I mean, we saw what happened with Avengers and Outriders. Square Enix attempts. And Anthem, games as a service, especially when it's obviously as a service, it's not going to fly.
The difference, though, is, in my opinion, is those are the first 2 outings for those 2 different developers. Ubisoft has done it long enough that they haven't fell through that yet, right? What they fell at was the battle royale. That's what they failed at.
Yeah, I mean, and the kicker is the reason why it works for Ubisoft is because it is games as a service, but you can still enjoy the game just fine without purchasing anything, and that's the kicker. For Honor, you could have fun just fine with the characters that came out in that. Same with Watch Dogs, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six Siege. You know, after they fixed a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer. I'm not answer, but I'm going to retort regarding your Sony buying them.
Okay.
I think Sony would have an interest, but I don't think Sony would out and out buy them. I think Sony would buy a large share.
Okay.
Of Ubisoft. I think they'd buy a large share because you have to keep in mind Ubisoft has a strong console presence, but they also have a really strong PC presence. Like, if anything, their PC presence may be as strong or stronger.
Okay.
Just my opinion.
Okay. Huh? I mean, at this point, there's really no wrong answer until something happens, right? We don't know.
Oh, well, that's good old-fashioned speculation. That's the fun of speculation.
Right. Because it could be another loop, and Microsoft could have stepped in. Because I think, honestly, when it comes to a studio that big, I think Sony and Microsoft are going to be the top contenders for it. I don't think Nintendo would do this, and I'll tell you why. Nintendo likes to buy companies they're close to the in-house, that work with them, their partnership, and they rather get. Also, too, they only acquire people when they think they're really good that work with them, because they have more second parties, like intelligent
systems.
Yeah. They are not owned by Nintendo. They're second party, but they feel like they're part of them.
Yeah,
right.
Nintendo has a large share, but yeah.
Same thing with Pokemon, right? And all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of connection in that way where they don't have to fully buy them. It's almost like they did with Rare, but Microsoft picked up Rare, right? So. Yeah. Nintendo hasn't need to do it because they have enough people to work with them in-house to do that. So Ubisoft, I think it'd be just too much right now in that case. But if they did, let's play the devil's advocate before we go on to the next one. I was going to do another studio, but this one's going too long, so we're going to have to do another studio another time.
Facebook would buy Ubisoft, bust into the gaming space. They're Oculus Quest, and they're doing the metaverse. What better than to have some Ubisoft properties? I hope it doesn't happen. I see Ubisoft
working with them, but I don't see them buying them.
I don't know. Mark Zuckerberg's nuts. Who knows? He's like, I want Tom Clancy now. And boop.
Yeah, but at the same time, does Ubisoft really want to be blocked off like that? Like, it's basically, okay, let's say that Facebook did buy Ubisoft just for shits and giggles, right? Would it really make a difference? Because they couldn't be exclusive. They don't have anything. They would still be multi-platform to everything else. It's just Facebook just owns them. So really, it doesn't make a difference.
Games. Well, you actually answered your own question earlier. Games as a service. Now you slide Facebook or Meta in there. Then now you have games making oblique or direct references to Meta. You have more synergy in sign into your Facebook account on here to enable this, that, or the other. And now you have more streams of information coming in of, oh, this person has a Facebook account and they also play these games. So I think they would do it not to break into the game business, but to gather additional data. As the saying goes, if you can't see a visible product, you are the product. And what better way of getting more products than consumers?
I honestly don't see that in that way. I honestly think Ubisoft, in my opinion, would rather be bought by an actual publisher, but because I haven't seen a Facebook or a Google that have bought a top tier publishers yet.
True. Or Amazon might. I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. They're in the gaming, but I would think Facebook would buy a bunch of small developers. It's almost like could I buy one giant thing Or could I get like 5 or 6 of them that can also do the job too in that aspect? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's just as plausible as Sony. I'm only saying Facebook or Amazon or Google because if nothing else, Ubisoft wouldn't want to sell. They write a big enough check. Yeah. Like Google and Amazon especially, they could drop $60 billion like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
But that's all I got to say.
Okay. So, but for you people that are watching, how much do you think they would sell themselves for? How much do you think they're worth? And what publisher, first-party publishers or third-party publishers, do you think that would purchase them and why? Just let us know. So let's get into our main segment. In this episode, we're going to kind of take it easy and talk about the one thing that has been a bit of a back and forth drama the last couple of years leading up to now. It's kind of coming back around again. And that's the fact of like easy mode and how that has been a conflict for a while. And I wanted to talk about this a while back, but just due to scheduling and due to different topics, because in the gaming industry, sometimes like random things happen. It's like, well, we're going to talk about that instead because that seems more interesting in the moment. So, but I guess I want to bring this up is because we talked about this in our classic episode of like getting to know us, what kind of gamers we are.
Yeah.
And in that episode, we talked about how we don't mind playing easy games for a different purpose, either to enjoy the story, to get through it, or we have so many games and we just need to get through it and easy mode can do the job for you. Or it's just the fact that you just don't want to deal with the high difficulty BS and all that kind of stuff, right? That's our old age, us talking now, because, you know, we gone through the struggle. If you were born in the 80s or maybe a little bit in the 90s, you know that you have been playing hard mode on a lot of games you didn't know that had a mode by default, basically, right? The games that were arcade that got remade for the consoles with the same concept of how an arcade game has played. We have seen that before. They were quarter snatchers, the re-rental games over and over again, all that kind of stuff. And that alone kind of got us prepped. But when we play other games, that easy mode was almost a pride thing. And I want to talk about that from my point of view. I always thought easy mode when I was younger was a pride thing. Whereas, like, if you ever played easy mode when you were younger, it kind of made you feel like a wuss. It kind of made you feel like that you didn't want to challenge yourself. You kind of just wanted to take it easy for what it is. And also, too, the game also gave you the challenge. The game even sometimes provoked you or even try to hide stuff behind it. Like, sure, you can play easy mode, but, you know, they named it like either baby mode or they give you a description of what your character might look like if you decide to select on easy mode. But
I'm
also,
too young to die.
Yeah, or they'll give you a hint like, hey, you beat on easy mode, but if you replay it again and play in hard mode, you might get an extra costume or a secret ending or whatever you need to that kind of tries to persuade you to do replayability. So most of the time when I talk to people, you know, I ask them what difficulty they play. I play normal no matter what. You know, it's normal or I'll play hard, but I don't ever play easy. Because, yes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes easy is easy. Like, it's a cakewalk. I get that 100%. Back in the day, on certain easy mode, because, like, I'm not going to lie, like, back in the day, old video games that were on easy mode, yeah, they really showed you that it was easy. It was easy. Either, like, there's less enemies, or you're overpowered, and all that kind of stuff, and I get that. But that has changed now in gaming, where easy mode is either a walk in the park or it could be we just lessen the difficulty. And I'll give you an example. Borderlands 3, I played that on easy mode. It was still challenging. And that's what's crazy about it. So, like, it felt like easy mode was normal and normal was hard. And very hard was like, well, just put down the control. You're not going to make it through this. But I remember when I was younger playing games, that was the one thing it was almost like, you know, when you play a game, you didn't want to say you play on easy mode. You're like, no, I played on normal mode. I played on normal. That was good. It was fun. Because, you know, sometimes the games can be too hard and you just couldn't do it, especially like strategy games or RPG games. and whatnot, or the action games like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden that were just a little too hard. So because you're not going to be perfect in every video game. You're not. No. It's trial and error. So I talked a little bit. What about you? What's your experience on easy mode growing up, or how did you take easy mode?
Well, I'll look at it this way. Like you were saying, the 80s and some of the 90s, there was no easy mode, or it was rare for a game to have easy mode, or like in this instances of games like Doom and Wolfenstein, they called them different things. Like if you were really tough, you played on ultra violence minimum, or hurt me plenty. But games like on Super Nintendo, you played easy mode, it gave you more lives. It was still hard as hell. It just gave you more lives. That was the easy mode. And RPGs, I can't think of too many RPGs that actually had specific difficulty modes. Its easy mode was grind for 4 more hours, grind out some levels, then it'll get easier.
That's what it was.
Yeah, like good luck. Grind.
Kingdom Hearts was like one of the ones I remember. Like there was an easy mode. I'm like, just get strong. You level up. The stronger you get, then it becomes easy for you. I don't know what the easy mode maybe, and I didn't see the difference. I didn't know does it help you level up faster? I didn't really see the difference. But go on.
Yeah. I mean, easy mode for certain games. So establishing a baseline. Easy mode could mean, like you were saying, fewer enemies or weaker enemies or more life or more lives, depending on the game. And honestly, I played all the way up until a handful of years ago, and sometimes depending on the game, I'll still try it. I'll play on normal or hard mode by default, and I'll just try and get good. But increasingly, in a lot of these games with heavy story, like Horizon, maybe even God of War, things like that, the temptation is there to play on easy mode, but it's not called easy mode anymore, rightfully so. It's called story mode. And it's like for those who want to focus on the story. And I was like, okay, you clearly made this for, grown folks with jobs and obligations. Because it's like, I still want to play this. I want to enjoy the story. I don't want to struggle on whatever weird enemy. Story mode, go. And like I said in our previous show, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I've beaten some of the hardest games on hard difficulty. I've beaten Resident Evil 2 and 3 on hardcore mode. I have nothing to prove.
Was that your mentality when you were younger also? Or do you think that has changed midway?
It really depended on the game. Like when I was younger, I had more interaction with, friends in the schoolyard. And if we were all playing like a similar game, we would talk about, oh, did you play it on this mode or this mode? And people would bust your balls if you played it on easy mode. But also certain games, it's like, you know what? I don't give a damn. I just want to play the game and finish it. I want to finish the game. Games like Mega Man had no damn easy mode. You played it. Games like Contra, the closest thing to an easy mode was a 30 lives code. So when I was younger, it was still a focus on finishing it. If I went into the options mode, it was to learn the controls, because most of the time I've rented these games and they didn't have instruction booklets. So my only hope was to hope there was a control scheme in the options mode. And then I'd see, difficulty, easy, normal, hard, whatever, professional, like Ghouls and Ghosts. There's normal and then there's professional or whatever. So yeah, it came down to, I just want to finish the damn game. And your point of it hiding content, like true endings, or you can only go to level 4 and there's like 6 stages. You see these stages if you up it to whatever difficulty, or you beat the boss, or you think you do, like in Golden Axe. It's like, to see the rest of the game, you have to play on normal mode or hard mode or whatever the hell. That irked me. But that was the only time I would try and step my game up and play it on a harder difficulty.
Yeah. So I think halfway, I want to say, not halfway, probably like 2 generations ago. Yeah, let's say 2 generations ago. The 360 and PS3 is, okay. I think that was also
14 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I want to say, because here's the one thing that hurt the trigger of it too, because of the trophy system, right? The trophy system for the completionists was you had to beat those games in every mode. Most of them you do. Or like or people would do the hard part and get the other added on. So if you beat in hard mode, easy and medium just automatically gets unlocked. So you don't have to go through those again, which it was cool. That was a smart decision. But I realized as I got older that hard was not fun anymore. Like, trying to replay a stage over and over again and dying so quick to try to be better was not satisfying anymore. It wasn't. Back in the day, it was more like, oh, I proved something that I can brag about it with my friends. Like, oh yeah, I beat that part. It was so tough, man. I died like 30 times, but I beat it. But now it's not fun anymore to me. It's just not. Exactly. It's kind of irritating. It's like, I get the point, but I don't want to hear the same character walk out to me like, you're going to lose this time, or the music start up again, even if you don't like the song. You're like, oh, the song is so terrible. Like, oh, I got to keep doing this over and over again. Or the level is so hard that if you die, you have to start from all the way from the beginning. That's the worst, right? When back in the day, that was probably the worst. I can handle getting killed, but making my way to that same exact spot was worse than anything. To me, Battletoads is a great example of that. You know, when you're at the very end, you die. There was no checkpoints, and that's the one thing that really helped out with gaming was checkpoints. Like thank goodness checkpoints exist later on in that generation, because it helped. It made you more forgiving, because I think the problem is when games are too hard, people got turned off and left the game. And I think a lot of developers noticed that, and they're like, we need to do something to keep these people going. We need check marks. We need to give people a way to not feel like that they're wasting their time. They don't want to play the game more, because it's easy to turn person off from a game.
Time is a premium to people. And I think more developers started realizing time's important to people.
Yeah. And the fact that you are in a now or never, I mean, now as ever, you're in a competitive state. There is more games than ever. And you got to make your game worth people to stay there long. If you don't, they're like, bump this. I can probably play a game that's better and it deals much better. So I'm going to go deal with this.
And that's the thing. I've noticed that's the curve. As time, the more of a premium time becomes, the more people are likely to say, screw this, I'm just going to play this mode or that mode. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't care if people want to conflate this with people who play on hard and expert or whatever like that have more disposable time. They do. But, you know, I don't have that kind of disposable time, or I have a backlog I'm trying to get through. I'm trying to catch up on.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the backlog. I think that's one of the main thing for us. What we talked about was we got to get through these games in our back catalog. Like, I'm behind. I can literally say I'm behind a generation. Like, and I'm not talking about PS5. I'm talking about just, like, I haven't even done Last of Us Part 2. I haven't done Ghost of Tsushima. I haven't done Death Stranding. There's still a lot of Nintendo games I haven't done. I didn't do Link Awakening. I didn't do Luigi's Mansion. There's a lot of games in my back catalog. I still got Persona and Final Fantasy VII. I'm still trying to be prepared to go through. And easy mode helps me with that. And if I like that game so much, then maybe when I go back in next time, I'll say, I'll try normal mode. Let's see what it does. Let's see where that takes me. Because I feel like that back in the day during school time, that's the only kind of conversation contact you had with people. So you had to come up with, you know, what you want to floss out. But now with social media, it's more of like, who cares? Like, who really cares? And I think it's kind of dumb to shame people that want to play the game. It's like, they're not ruining your day, are they? Like, if you don't like it, then go play the game yourself and play whatever mode you have. You know, like, why does it matter anymore?
That's the mentality a lot of people have, though. It's, this doesn't taste as good if other people can taste it too. Mm-hmm. It's like, this isn't as good if everybody can enjoy it. Only I should be able to enjoy this. That kind of attitude. Comedian Patton Oswalt, kind of to paraphrase him, you know, no, the sky pie doesn't taste as good if other people can have it. Only I should have the sky pie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's that attitude that I think it's always been there, but it's just amplified by social media. And, you know, on the other hand, I commend people who like games done quick, who run through whatever game on whatever mode, or content creators who say, hey, I'm playing this game for the 20th time. For this challenge, I'm going to do knife only on the hardest difficulty and do no damage or whatever. It's like, cool, good for you, go for it.
Yep.
You know,
One thing I really like a lot of games nowadays, well, at least the games I know. Let's take Xenoblade Chronicle 2, for example. When it comes to long games that you put 60 to 80 hours in, mainly RPGs, with remasters or a different way after you beat the game, I love the fact that after you proved yourself, either easy mode or hard mode, that they reward you of a easier way to replay that game again. For example, after playing about 100 hours, honestly, for everything I wanted to do in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I could replay that game again, but now I get to choose what level I want to be when I go through it. So let's say, like, oh, I don't have to start at 1. Maybe I want to replay this game, but I want to start at level 40. You know? And play this game again.
Plus.
Yeah. Or maybe I want to play level 99 and play through the story again. I like that option because it's like, that gives me... I already proved myself that I beat this game. I don't want to start from the ground up again, especially how I know how long it is. Do I want to spend another 100 hours starting from the bottom and work my way up to the top again? No. But with the hint of 99, that is tempting of like, oh, I could probably beat this game in 20 hours, you know? Yeah. Because now I enjoyed it for what it is, and I can do these side quests I never did the first time because I wasn't strong enough, but now I am because I can do it that way. And with the remakes, I like the fact that, like, sometimes you can speed it up faster, or you can choose what level you want to do this game. You know, unlock all this kind of stuff. You know, it's your cheat mode without putting in the cheat code. And I like that a lot, and I wish a lot of games did that. Like, after you beat the game, make it easy the second time around for me. Like, make it more fun. Like, hey, you did a great job. You beat Devil May Cry. Here, do you want to play a game with all the weapons unlocked? Do you just want to have fun with it? You know, like I like games like that. And
Chrono Trigger did that where you can start all over, but with all of your levels.
Yeah.
And special weapons. And it's like, oh, cool. This game's going to be a cakewalk the first 2/3.
Yeah. And especially, like, if I can do that, let's say you want to challenge yourself. I want to play on hard, but maybe they limit me. Like, hey, you can play on hard, but we're going to put you at level 20 or something like that. Like, okay, I can swallow that. I get a challenge, but I'm not starting from square one where I'm going to get my butt kicked every 5 seconds. You know?
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm down for that. Especially when it comes to open world games. Like, now, if it doesn't have a level system, let's use Breath of the Wild, for example. Breath of the Wild is easy to replay again because there's no leveling up, there's no difficulty scale or anything. You're just going out there. So it's easy to play because you can kind of just set up where you want to go as long as you do A, B, and C. Those are fine. Those are fine.
You can go straight to the end boss in Breath of the Wild if you want.
Yes. Dark Souls is a different story where I would love the replay of that game. And you can. I believe you can replay a game. You still have everything you have going the second time around. Because I think it just starts over. But that is still a collecting to succeed. And the question is, do you want to take the time to collect and succeed yourself to level up to keep going? So there's a lot of different varieties that I think if you're not going to play the game of having an easy mode, give me something to reward myself and not a freaking skin or an ending that I have to work my ass off to. Like, that ending should just give me the ending. Why is it really worth me replaying on hard or that? So you can give me an extra 30 seconds of something that I can go on YouTube and watch somebody else do. You're just wasting time.
That was back in the day. That was especially back in the day. The Nintendo, Super Nintendo, even the N64 era, certain games there to dissuade rentals for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a game on the N64 called Mischief Makers.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. And in order to, the game wasn't easy, but in order to get the entire ending, you had to collect these items through every level. And
that's why you hate collectathons.
Whatever was missing, it would play the ending and then skip a part and then go to it would only play the parts you collected. So it would force you to go back through and collect everything. It's like, really? So yeah. And that's the Dark Souls thing. I mean, I played Demon Souls a little bit, you know, when it came out on the PS3, and I played a little bit of Sekiro. And honestly, I mean, I might go back through and play Sekiro again on a different difficulty, or just kind of coast my way through, because I'm really tired of everybody, trying to flex nuts on, oh, this is Dark Souls hard. Anytime something is difficult is compared to Dark Souls now.
Yep.
This is an argument everybody's heard. It's been done to death. But I'm just going to add my 2 cents. I'm tired of hearing about that Dark Souls hard. Dark Souls hard to me means it is obscure enough to where you can only get good by ramming your head against the same wall at least half a dozen times.
Okay.
Or there are parts, there's a part in Sekiro where you're just minding your own business. All of a sudden you hear, and something automatically kills you. If you've never played the game before, you have no way of knowing that, and you just die. Mm-hmm. You're dead. And that's like, that doesn't seem fair. I should have a sporting chance.
Okay.
I don't like difficulties that penalize you for being new.
Okay. So let's talk about the things we don't like in easy mode. So some of the things I don't like about easy mode is it's hard because easy mode has a balancing act. It's where like we don't want you to have a whole cakewalk, but we have to balance how many things we could throw at you, right? So, or to the point where how much is the person going to be a bullet sponge? You know what I mean? So, for example, I actually got the Castlevania collection on my Switch, and I told you a couple days ago, like a month ago actually, that I beat the first Castlevania game for the first time.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I played the Japanese mode that had easy on there because it came on after. So I played it, and it was still challenging. And what was easy about it was not the journey. It was just less hits on the bosses. Because let's be honest, the bosses move around a lot, except for the mummies. But when you get the Frankenstein and Igor, my goodness, let me tell you that and also too, the thing about the Japanese edition is they fixed where when you got hit, you're not being pushed back. You just get hit, but you can keep going. And that helps out a lot. Yeah. That easy mode I like. Okay? The easy mode I don't like is that I'm walking and nothing shows up except maybe like one or two things. That's boring. There is such thing as easy, boring stuff. I get that. Or if you're playing an RPG in easy mode and you're not getting a well balance of random encounters, which is why they later on you see a lot of games change into where like, if you see it, here, make it easy on you. If you see it, you can fight. If you don't want to fight, then that's easy on you. But back in the day, the random encounters sometimes like it was so easy that like you didn't get a lot of encounters, and that can be a little bit boring. I can completely understand that. Or you're too godlike. I get that too. I understand like it's too godlike. Like when you're playing a fighting game, like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta and stuff, that like every hit is just over the top, kills them. Like it's almost like a Dynasty Warriors kind of thing where like they're just
still want to challenge. You want to be challenged just reasonably.
Yeah. Where I'm not basically I want less game overs. Where I feel like I suck if I died on easy mode. I want to feel like I suck. Not the game sucks. You know? It's a hard balancing act. But hard, you already know what hard is going to be. They're just going to find some way to piss you off. They're going to find some way where it's just too challenging for you. And if you do it, you're going to feel rushed like no other.
You know, it's funny when you mentioned Castlevania. A lot of Konami's games, especially the ones that came out in the 80s and 90s, the Japanese version was easier. Konami games in general. The Adventures of Bayou Billy. The American version was notoriously just, this is ridiculous.
Along with Karate Kid.
Everything takes 5,000 hits to kill. Japanese version, if you play a Japanese Billy, you're like, this is actually a pretty decent game. Yeah. Okay, this is a pretty fair game. I'm enjoying it. Contra Hardcore on the Genesis. Japanese version, you actually have, like, you can get hit multiple times before you die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's still a challenging ass game. It's just it's not infuriating. So yeah, I actually that's a good one. I like Konami's Japanese version of difficulty.
Okay.
It's almost like they respect the time. The time is a premium to the Japanese people.
Mm.
It's like I don't have time for this. You know, it's like I got stuff to do. I need to play this game and move on.
Yeah, and then, there is some games where they don't have a mode, but it feels just right. Like a Mario game. Like Super Mario, I feel like is a pretty balanced game where like you can either make it hard or make it easy on you if you do the right decisions. Like getting the right power-ups for the certain situation, or just strategize your timing of certain things. Definitely Sonic. You had to really pay attention of your timing. You just can't just run straight and not care about getting hit.
I mean, at least after the first level, you can.
Right. I mean, the rings was your lifesaver through the whole thing. As long as you had a ring, you could live forever.
Yeah.
The
game was as hard as you made it, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with Zelda. Like the old school Zeldas didn't really have a difficulty. It was still more of that open world. Like, if you gather enough hearts, you'll live longer. You can make it easy or you make it hard. If you think you can beat this whole game on 3 hearts, go ahead. Go beat the game in 3 hearts.
Yeah, even better. And when you get an item or you conquer a dungeon or anything, let's say you die as soon as you conquer that dungeon. You start right back, there and can hop right back in. Or if you die in the dungeon, you start right back in the beginning of the dungeon. You didn't feel penalized for dying. You're going to die, but you didn't feel like you lost all the progress. You lost an hour of work. That's another thing that would piss me off. It's like, okay, I just lost an hour of progress. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall thoughts for both of us. My overall thought about easy mode is the fact that I think I'm at the mindset at this age is more of what you said. I don't really care what people think. It's my copy of the game, and with my copy, I can do whatever the hell I want with it. If I want to play on easy mode, if I want to talk about it, I want to talk about it. But my point was, too, of if you have so many games in your catalog and you're trying to get through it, normal or hard is just going to take more of your time, and you're trying to just get through certain games so you can move on. Because there's a lot of games out there, and you want to get to those, but you might be that person like, but I bought all these games, I need to get through them. So maybe easy mode would help you get through these quicker. And if you love the game so much, go back and then play it on a normal difficulty. Who do you really have to prove? Like, people that shame you, I feel like they're more self-conscious for themselves. Like, they feel like you need to be at my level. And it's like, I don't even know you. Why do I care? Like, I really even my friends. I'm like, you can't. Look, if you want to spend that many hours on hard and you want to be a completionist, you are more happy. I'm not going to come shame you about that. I'll just say, hey, have fun with it. You're going to have a long road ahead of you probably, but have fun with it. But the same thing with me, with easy mode, it should, at the end of the day, to me, it should be like, is the game fun? Then enjoy for what it is. So, what's your final thoughts?
I'm along the same lines. Like easy mode or story mode, as it's also called, it is just as viable as any other mode. It comes down to, are you wanting to play the game to enjoy it, or are you wanting to play the game to enjoy it for the story, or are you trying to challenge yourself? I don't need to challenge myself. I have enough things that challenge me elsewhere. But I still want to enjoy a good story. I still want to feel like a badass in whatever world. I want the escapism. I want to just sit back and maybe not completely turn my brain off, but at least turn part of it off and just relax. And it's no shame on people who want to attack things on hard mode first or hardest or whatever. That maybe your brain is wired that way, or you want to challenge yourself for the sake of challenging yourself. Cool. This is mostly just to folks who like to, poo-poo on others who play on easy mode. It's like, yeah, time's precious. My time is money. So.
Yep. Okay. With that being said, this is the end of our episode, and this is part of the In-Game Boss program and the network of gaming and other variety shows. Please check out all our other great content on the page of YouTube. And if you enjoy it, maybe you should subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell us in your thoughts, do you care about what people think when you play easy mode? Are you just straight hard mode? What mode do you actually prefer? And what games did you enjoy in that mode? We would love to hear your comments and whatnot. Other than that, we are now, since our last episode we did Nintendo Direct, we are now back to our normal rotation. We have more episodes we're going to be doing for the rest of the year that we can't wait to talk about with other fun segments and whatnot. We're very excited. Hopefully when the weather gets better and we have a better scheduling for Jaron and I, we would love to try to get back into our cabinet sessions to give you more. We did 2 episodes during our break, so I'll be airing those back in March. So just to kind of just show you it exists. We're working on it. We'll get there.
Yeah.
And
we're in third winter right now.
Yeah. And all our other shows will also be making back. In March, we are going to be for the movie The Batman coming out. Nam and I from the when Jeremy met Nam, we have revisited every Batman movie except the new ones. Once we went to the 90s, so we did the 89, the Return, the Forever, and Returns. And Batman and Robin. And we
Schumachers.
Yeah, so we went through those and we tried to answer the unanswered questions of those movies. Some things that were just weird that we wanted to ask and figure out why did they do that? Why was that decision made? So definitely check it out. It will be for 4 weeks, episode for each week for that whole month. And hopefully if we have time, we will definitely do a small review of the movie The Batman that is coming out on March 4th. So, yeah. Jaron, where can they find you and your Twitch?
Well, like you said, I am on Twitch. I am also on Twitter, more or less. On Twitter, at the Grumpy Bear 84, and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Evil of Aku. That's EVILOFAKU, no spaces. I stream Tekken and other games, what suits my fancy. So pull through, check me out, or don't, whatever. I'm not your daddy.
And you can find me on Facebook at the In-Game Boss Program page, and on Twitter you can find me on there at Program In, and in my personal RetroAmp07, where we'll be posting stuff here and there. Jaron loves posting stuff, so I'm trying to get better at it once again. We have passed 100 subscribers. To people that might be small, to me that's a huge accomplishment, so I'm happy. Here's trying to get to 200. We'll see what happens. We're at 115 right now, so we'll see what happens. And we love to keep your support.
More.
Yeah.
Yes.
With
Give
that,
it all.
Thank you so much, and we will see you on our next stage. Stage clear. Let's go.
New high score. Try on harder mode.